When my roommate learned that getting pregnant in university came with special treatment, she brazenly posted on the campus forum, openly recruiting a baby daddy. Requirements over 5 on 11. 8-pack ABS, handsome assets in the millions. No bad habits. Afraid she would ruin her life. On a moment of reckless impulse, I snatched her phone, deleted the post, and gave her a serious rundown on the risks and consequences of early pregnancy while still studying. After much deliberation, she was finally persuaded. But a month later, a classmate struck it rich by getting pregnant. She not only married into a wealthy family, but also received a $1 million childbirth bonus from her in-laws. My roommate was driven mad with jealousy. She stormed into the dorm, shrieking at me at the top of her lungs. "If it weren't for you, I'd be a rich wife by now. You owe me my life." As she screamed, she stabbed me over and over, venting her rage until I was dead. When I opened my eyes again, I was back to the day she first posted on the forum, brazenly searching for a baby daddy. I looked around. This was the dorm room from my very first day of university. The source of the noise was the bed beside mine. Lucy Wyndham. She had flung her pillow straight down. It smashed into my thermos. There was water inside. The inner liner shattered on impact. Hot water spilled across the floor, and steam curled upward. I'm so sick of this. Why do we even have to run morning drills? And there's an 8 a.m. class too. Didn't they say university was supposed to mean freedom? I nearly killed myself studying to get in. If I'd known it would be like this, I wouldn't have enrolled in university. As Lucy vented, the other two roommates exchanged glances. One of them, Joey Marcel, laughed and teased. "Then just get pregnant. Pregnant students get special treatment. You wouldn't have to do any of that." The moment those words left her mouth, my body began to tremble. The same scene. Exactly the same. "Trisha, what do you think?" Lucy looked straight at me, clearly waiting for my answer. Since heaven had given me a chance to start over, I would never be stupid again. No more savior complex. No more interfering in other people's fate. In the dorm, my grades were the best. I'd entered university as the top scorer, and Lucy always came to me for advice. In my last life, she'd asked me the same question. I'd rejected the idea outright, furious on her behalf. But she hadn't given up. Under Joey's constant influence, Lucy still posted on the forum behind my back. This time, I simply smiled faintly. Being a mom early isn't bad. You recover faster because you're young. By the time you graduate, your kid could already be in kindergarten. Saves a lot of trouble. Lucy froze in her mind, and in everyone else's. I was always extremely conservative. Still, she hesitated after hearing me. But giving birth really hurts. And if I have a baby, who's gonna take care of it while I'm studying? My heart skipped. So she didn't know the risks of early pregnancy. She just wanted me to be the bad guy. This time I wouldn't let her have her way. I pressed on, gently fanning the flames. "If you land a rich heir, would you really need to worry about any of that?" Lucy fell silent. She seemed to think for a long time before finally nodding. The temptation of becoming a wealthy wife was simply too great. And this time, since I wasn't stopping her, even if she failed, she wouldn't be able to blame me. Almost the very next second, Lucy posted her recruitment message on the campus forum. She even raised her brows at me smugly. "Trisha, I think you should find a rich guy too. What's the point of studying yourself to death? Studying well isn't as good as marrying well." Her tone made it sound as if she were already a rich wife. I didn't understand why Lucy held such hostility toward me. This time I wasn't even stopping her. Yet she still spoke to me with sharp, barbed words. But someone like Lucy, a person who drags others down with her, was best kept at a distance. I lowered my head, flipping through practice papers, and replied calmly, "I'll pass." As the popularity of her post continued to climb, Lucy let out a scornful snort in my direction. "Fake prude. Bookworm. I can tell you're never going to amount to much in this life." Just like in my previous life, Lucy's post exploded overnight. The backlash was fierce. People said she'd shattered their worldview. Someone even dug up our dorm information. After that, whenever the three of us went out, even without Lucy, we were met with rolling eyes and open hostility. That's them. They think just because they look decent, they can mess around. They've ruined our university's reputation. I heard the university's top scores among them. Bet she cheated her way to the top with her body. Last time, I made Lucy delete the post in time, so things hadn't escalated this badly. This time, not only was she affected, all three of us were dragged down with her. Joey grabbed the two of us and stormed back to the dorm seating with anger. Lucy was washing her feet when we got there. The towel in her hand looked oddly familiar. I glanced at where I kept my towels and my heart sank. That was my face towel. I'd caught it this time. But if I hadn't, how many times had she already used it? The thought of wiping my face every day with a towel she used on her feet made my skin crawl. I rushed over and snatched it from her, furious. What are you doing? Why are you using my face towel to wipe your feet? I wasn't pretending. I was genuinely angry. Lucy didn't look the least bit embarrassed at being caught. Instead, she sounded perfectly justified. I'm pregnant with a rich man's kid. Now you should feel honored I'm using your stuff. If you serve me well, I might even ask my future husband to give you a janitor job after you graduate. She wasn't wrong about one thing. It had been half a month since she posted on the forum. During that time, she'd been staying out overnight and had us cover for her with the dorm supervisor. Clearly, she was already pregnant. As for who the man was, she never gave a name. Only that he was rich, dressed head to toe in designer brands. And while we were still riding shared bikes, he was already driving a luxury car. Based on her description, there was only one person at our university who fit Nick Swart, the richest heir in all of Samarane City. Hearing her say that made my blood surge. I don't need you to hand me a job. I have hands and feet of my own. And that still doesn't give you the right to use other people's things without permission. Lucy let out a cold laugh. Do you have any idea how hard it is for university students to find jobs these days? Still pretending to be noble? You better not regret it. If you can't find work after graduation and come begging on your knees, I won't let my husband help you. As she spoke, she stomped her foot hard into the basin, splashing water all over me. Joey had already been on the verge of exploding. If not for what had just happened, she wouldn't have held back this long. Lucy, deal with your own mess yourself. Don't drag the three of us down with you. Get on the forum right now and clarify that this was your personal behavior and has nothing to do with us. Because of you we're getting criticized everywhere we go. Joey planted herself in front of me, hands on her hips, shouting. Lucy rolled her eyes. I'm doing this for your own good. I know the three of you are too embarrassed to admit it, but you've been jealous of me for a long time, haven't you? Stop pretending to be pure. Joey was so angry that her face turned red. You? What nonsense are you talking about? We just want to study in peace. Don't project your filthy thoughts onto us. Lucy rolled her eyes exaggeratedly. Treat me like this and see what happens. Believe it or not, I can have my future husband make it so. You can't even stay in this university. If you've got the guts, have him come after us himself. Joey shot back. You really think getting pregnant makes you a queen? Everyone out there is calling you shameless. And you actually think you're something special? Joey's strength was overwhelming. Lucy flushed with rage, glaring venomously at the three of us. So angry she couldn't speak. Touching her phone, she burst into tears and ran into the bathroom. From outside, I could vaguely hear her making a complaint call. Her voice was nothing like usual, pinched and cloying, unpleasant to listen to. Grinding her teeth, Joey dropped back into her chair. The other roommate, Carmen Radler, asked worriedly, she isn't really dating Nick, is she? We really can't afford to offend someone like him. Joey snorted. So what if she is? You're in the right. What's there to be afraid of? Does he really think he can bend the law? We got into this university on our own merit. But the moment I heard Nick's name, I glanced at my phone. There was a message from him. What time do you get out of class? I'll take you to a new restaurant. The timestamp was yesterday afternoon. That's right. Nick and I were childhood friends. How could I not know if he had a girlfriend? Our chats were always casual. Reply when we had time, silent when we didn't. As for whether he had anything to do with Lucy, I'd have to ask him directly to know for sure. So I quickly typed back, let's go today. He replied almost instantly, I'll pick you up after class. When Nick's Ferrari pulled up in front of the women's dormitory, it caused an immediate uproar. Everyone in the dorm crowded by the window to watch. Joey couldn't help but sigh. That car is insanely expensive. We'd have to work for several lifetimes to afford it. Some people are born with a silver spoon. Others are born to be workhorses. Lucy, on the other hand, stroked her non-existent belly, tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear, and looked at us with open disdain. See? Believe me now, my future husband is a rich heir. You poor things. Take a good look. This might be the last time you ever get to see something like this. I curved my lips into a faint smile. Nick spotted me standing by the window and lifted a hand in greeting. Lucy saw it too, and immediately waved back, excitement flashing across her face. I ignored her and headed out. As I reached the door, Lucy slammed her shoulder hard into mine, snapping angrily. Watch where you're going, okay? If you hurt my baby, could you afford to compensate me? I'm pregnant with the heir of a wealthy family. Why are you in such a hurry? Trying to get close to my husband's luxury car? I let out a cold laugh. How dumb. Still, to keep her from blaming me if anything happened to her child, I stepped aside and let her go first. Lucy took advantage and still acted smug. She swayed her hips as she walked, then turned back and spat at me. Good that you know your place. You reek of poverty. In truth, my family's background was no different from Nick's. I'd simply always kept a low profile. The brands I wore were mostly foreign. Luxury labels that few people here recognized. Besides, I didn't even have a driver's license. Lamborghini my father gave me for my 18th birthday was still sitting unused, so her words didn't anger me. I was curious instead whether Lucy's dream of marrying into wealth would actually come true. By the time I got downstairs, Lucy was already seated in the passenger seat of Nick's car. Envious looks were cast her way from all sides. Nick, however, kept his eyes fixed on the entrance of the dorm building and didn't notice her at all. When I reached the car, Nick frowned slightly. "What took you so long? You made me wait, although I'm the one treating you to a meal." I almost laughed. When we were little, Nick had always followed me around like a shadow. I thought he'd outgrow it, but apparently university hadn't changed him one bit. I raised a brow and glanced at Lucy. She seemed to catch my look, and in a show of triumph, leaned toward Nick and cooed, "Honey, let's go. I know you just wanted to show me off in front of my roommates. That's enough. Our baby and I are starving." Nick finally turned around. The shock on his face was unmistakable. He pointed at himself. "Honey? Me baby? Miss, who are you?" Given how well I knew Nick, he wasn't lying, which meant the liar was someone else. Things were getting interesting. Lucy instantly exploded. "Nick, you slept with me and got me pregnant. And now you're trying to deny it." Before she finished, she looked at me, realization dawning on her face. "I get it now. It's this bitch Trisha who seduced you, isn't it? I admit she studies well and has a bit of looks, but you can't abandon our baby and me for her." I felt nothing at all. I took it as a compliment. Nick was even more horrified. He hurriedly explained to me, "Trisha? I swear I have nothing to do with her. I don't even know who she is." I lifted a brow. "So, are we still eating?" He nodded furiously. I continued, calm as ever. "Then where am I supposed to sit?" "On the hood." Nick immediately went over and yanked Lucy out of the car. She let out a scream. "Nick, be careful of the baby." Nick acted as if he hadn't heard a thing. After pulling her out, he turned and ushered me into the seat. Lucy collapsed onto the ground, throwing a full-blown tantrum, crying and wailing. How can mistresses be this shameless nowadays? Feeling someone else's man? I'm already pregnant, and she's openly provoking me. Is there no justice left in this world? The Joseph is still living. The first time she claims she has a fever, I spend the whole night at the hospital. And Nick didn't care in the slightest. He floored the accelerator and sped away. While we were eating, Nick kept explaining himself non-stop. "I don't even know that crazy woman. Pregnancy, husband. None of it has anything to do with me. Heaven knows my conscience is clear. You know I only love you." Yes. Nick's endless explanations were only because we were. Nick's face was flushed with a mix of indignation and genuine worry. "Trisha, you have to believe me. I've never even spoken to that girl. I don't even know her name." I took a sip of my lemon water, my expression calm. "I know, Nick. Her name is Lucy Wyndham. She's my roommate." Nick groaned, leaning back in the plush leather chair of the high-end restaurant. "She's insane. She sat in my car and called me honey in front of the whole school. If my parents hear about this, they'll freeze my accounts before I can explain." "Then don't just explain," I said, my eyes gleaming with a cold light. "Let her play her game. If she wants to pretend she's carrying the Swart family heir, let's see how far she's willing to go." In my previous life, I had been the shield that protected Lucy from her own stupidity. I had been the one to tell her that the rich men on campus forums were often predators or frauds. I had saved her from her own greed, and she had repaid me with a knife to the heart. This time, I would be the spectator. When I returned to the dorm that evening, the atmosphere was electric. Lucy was sitting on her bed, surrounded by shopping bags from mid-tier luxury brands. Joey and Carmen were standing nearby, looking conflicted. The moment I stepped inside, Lucy's tear-streaked face turned into a mask of triumph. "Oh, look who's back. Did you enjoy your little date with my husband?" I didn't blink. "He's not your husband, Lucy. He didn't even know who you were. He was just embarrassed because I caught him with you." Lucy shrieked, though her eyes flickered with a hint of uncertainty. "He called me later. He apologized. He said he had to act that way because your family is. Well, he didn't want to hurt your feelings since you're so pitiful and obsessed with him." Joey snorted. "He called you? From what number?" Lucy waved her phone dismissively. "A private line. Rich people things, Joey. You wouldn't understand." I walked over to my desk and opened my laptop. "If he's taking care of you now, I assume you'll be moving out soon? Or at least, you won't need to use my face towels anymore?" Lucy's face twisted. "Keep your cheap towels. Soon, I'll be living in a villa in the North Hills. And Trisha, don't think I've forgotten how you tried to seduce him today. When we get married, I'll make sure you're blacklisted from every major firm in the city." "I look forward to it," I replied softly. Over the next 2 weeks, Lucy's transformation was startling. She stopped attending classes entirely, claiming morning sickness made it impossible to walk. She began wearing a massive, gaudy diamond ring that looked suspiciously like high-quality cubic zirconia. But to the untrained eyes of our classmates, it was the ultimate proof of her success. The campus forum was in a frenzy. Someone had posted a photo of Lucy getting into a different luxury car, a black Maybach, at the university gate. See, Lucy boasted in the dorm group chat. Nick has so many cars, he switches them every day just to keep the paparazzi away from me. I knew for a fact Nick didn't own a Maybach. His father did, but it was currently in another city for a business conference. One afternoon, Joey pulled me aside in the library. Trisha, something is wrong. I saw Lucy at the mall yesterday. She wasn't with Nick. She was with a man in his 50s. He looked greasy, like the kind of guy who owns a shady nightclub. I turned a page in my textbook. She's a grown woman, Joey. She chose this path. But she's telling everyone it's Nick Swart. The school board is even talking about giving her a maternity sabbatical, with full honors because they don't want to offend the Swart family. If it's not him, she's committing massive fraud. Let her, I said. The higher she climbs on her mountain of lies, the more bones she'll break when she falls. That evening, Lucy returned to the dorm in a state of high euphoria. She threw a thick envelope onto my desk. There, she said, her voice dripping with condescension. $10,000. Consider it hush money for the fact that you knew Nick first. My husband-to-be is very generous. He doesn't want any poverty-stricken ghosts from his past haunting us. I looked at the envelope but didn't touch it. Where did you get this, Lucy? I told you. From Nick. Nick is currently at a charity polo match in the Hamptons, I said, checking my phone. He posted a story 5 minutes ago. Unless he can teleport, he didn't give you this cash in the dorm parking lot. Lucy's face went pale for a split second before she recovered. It was his assistant. God, you're so jealous it's pathetic. Just take the money and shut up. I smiled and pushed the envelope back toward her. Keep it. You'll need it for the medical bills. Pregnancy is expensive, especially when the father doesn't exist. The turning point came during the university's 100th anniversary gala. It was the most prestigious event of the year, where alumni, billionaire donors, and the city's elite gathered. Lucy had spent the entire week bragging about how she would be attending as Nick's official fiancée. She even bought a designer gown, or a very convincing knockoff, and hired a professional makeup artist to come to the dorm. Are you even going, Trisha? Lucy asked, smearing a dark lipstick on. Oh wait, I forgot. Only the top 1% and the highest-ranking students get invites. I guess you'll be watching the live stream from your bed. I was currently wearing an old oversized hoodie, typing away at a research paper. Something like that. Good. It would be embarrassing for me if people saw my roommate looking like a beggar. As soon as Lucy swept out of the room, trailing a scent of cheap perfume and arrogance, I stood up. I went to my closet and pulled out a garment bag that had been delivered by a private courier that morning. Inside was a bespoke Vera Wang gown in midnight blue, encrusted with real sapphires. I didn't need to marry well to attend this gala. My father was the keynote speaker. The grand ballroom was a sea of gold and crystal. I entered through a side VIP entrance, avoiding the red carpet where the students were clamoring for photos. I saw Nick near the champagne fountain, looking dashing in a tuxedo. He looked relieved when he saw me. Trisha. Thank God. Have you seen your roommate? She's outside at the gates, causing a scene. She's telling the security guard she's my fiancée, and that I forgot her invite. Is she alone? I asked. No, Nick lowered his voice. She's with a guy named Arthur Vance. He's a notorious con artist who pretends to be a talent scout for rich heirs. He's the one who's been sponsoring her. Apparently, he's been using her to try and get an in with my father's inner circle. I chuckled. So the baby daddy she recruited is a scammer who is using her as a pawn? Exactly. But she doesn't know that. She thinks he's my uncle or something. It's a mess. Just then, the doors at the back of the hall burst open. Lucy had somehow managed to get inside. She was flushed, her hair slightly disheveled, clinging to the arm of a balding man in an ill-fitting suit, Arthur Vance. She scanned the room until she spotted Nick. Nick? Honey. The music faltered. Heads turned. Lucy marched toward us, her voice echoing. Why did you leave me at the gate? And why are you standing next to her again? She pointed a shaking finger at me. Then she noticed my dress. Her eyes widened, her gaze traveling over the sapphires that caught the light. That's a fake. Where did a scholarship student get a dress like that? You must have stolen it. My father, Marcus Thorne, stepped out from a group of dignitaries. His presence was commanding, the kind of authority that silenced a room instantly. Is there a problem here? He asked, his voice low and dangerous. Lucy, not recognizing him, sneered. Yes. This girl, Trisha, is a thief and a homewrecker. She's been harassing my fiancé, Nick Swart, and she's wearing a stolen dress. The room went deathly silent. Nick's father, the elder Mr. Swart, stepped forward, looking confused. Fiancé? Nick, who is this woman? I have no idea, Dad, Nick said clearly. She's a girl from my school who has been stalking me and claiming I got her pregnant. Lucy's face turned a shade of gray. Nick. What are you saying? Arthur told me. She turned to the man beside her. Arthur Vance was already trying to slip away toward the exit, but security had already blocked his path. My father walked over to me and placed a hand on my shoulder. Stolen? This dress was a gift I bought for my daughter to celebrate her 4.0 GPA this semester. He looked at Lucy with pure disdain. And as for harassing anyone, my daughter has known the Swart family since she was in diapers. If anyone is a homewrecker here, it seems to be the woman making a scene in a counterfeit dress. The $1 million childbirth bonus Lucy had dreamed of turned into a nightmare of legal fees. It turned out that Arthur Vance had been recording their encounters and intended to blackmail Lucy once she married into the Swart family. When he realized the gig was up, he leaked everything to the campus forum to spite her. But the biggest blow was yet to come. A month later, I was sitting in the dorm, now alone, as Lucy had been expelled for fraud and moral turpitude after the gala scandal. Joey and Carmen were with me, eating snacks and studying. There was a knock on the door. It was Lucy. She looked skeletal. Gone were the designer knockoffs and the arrogance. She looked exactly like she did in my previous life the moment she stabbed me. Desperate, feral, and broken. Trisha, she rasped. Help me, please. I didn't get up. Help you with what, Lucy? The baby. There is no baby. I lied about being pregnant to get the special treatment. But then Arthur made me take these fertility drugs to make sure I actually got pregnant so he could lock in the Swart family. But they were black market hormones. My body is. I am sick, Trisha. I can't stop bleeding. I have no money for the hospital. In my last life, I would have rushed her to the ER. I would have paid her bills. I would have held her hand. I looked at her and remembered the cold steel of the knife in my chest. I remembered the way she screamed that I owed her a life of luxury. You told me that being a mom early wasn't bad. I said, my voice as cold as ice. You told me you'd recover faster because you're young. You told me you'd have your husband give me a job as a janitor. Lucy's eyes filled with tears. I didn't mean it. I was frustrated. No. I stood up and walked to the door. You were greedy. And you were cruel. You wanted a shortcut to a life you didn't earn, and you didn't care who you stepped on to get there. I leaned in close, whispering so only she could hear. In another life, I saved you. And you killed me for it. This time, I'm letting you save yourself. I closed the door. Epilogue. Lucy Wyndham disappeared from the university shortly after. Rumor had it she had to sell her family's small apartment to pay off the debts Arthur Vance had saddled her with. The special treatment she sought, the easy life, the wealth, the status, ended in a permanent medical condition caused by the shoddy drugs she took in her desperation to make the lie true. As for the classmate who struck it rich by getting pregnant, she did exist. But 6 months later, the news broke that her wealthy husband's family had been a massive Ponzi scheme. She was left with a child, no degree, and millions in debt. I graduated at the top of my class. On graduation day, Nick took my hand as we walked across the stage. You know, he whispered. I'm glad you didn't snatch her phone this time. I looked at the sun setting over the campus, feeling the warmth of a life truly lived, unburdened by the shadows of the past. Me too, Nick, I said, smiling. Some lessons can only be learned in the dark. I had finally reclaimed my life. And this time, I was the only one holding the pen.